So I thought I'd take a quick opportunity here to do a inside the box video for Last Chance for Victory. This is the Battle of Gettysburg, part of MMP's, or rather the Gamers, line of battle series. The first in that series being, we've got sitting out over here, None But Heroes, which was Antietam. Been waiting for this one for a while. We knew it was coming because MMP did a promotion for it during the actual sesquicentennial of the battle. So I think starting on July 1st, they offered the pre-order for this, and I jumped right on it. They encouraged people to actually place their pre-order to coincide with whatever particular event during the battle that they wanted to commemorate. You know, whether you wanted to do it for Pickett's Charge, or the opening of the battle on July 1st at McPherson's Ridge, or you know, the storming of Little Round Top, any particular event that you wanted to commemorate. So I ordered mine at about quarter after midnight on July 2nd, which was about the time that the 7th Indiana scared off the Confederates that were approaching the base of Culp's Hill. It was there that had the Confederates taken Culp's Hill that night, had they pressed the attack and taken the hill, that would have collapsed the Union right of the position at Gettysburg, and you would have had a much, much different battle. So I wanted to commemorate that because I'm from Indiana, and it was an Indiana regiment that spooked the rebels into thinking there were a lot more Union troops on Culp's Hill than there were, and could have changed history. But, of course, there were about 1,000 different individual events during that battle that could have radically changed history. So let's see what we have in the box here. As you can see, it is a nice, thick box. In fact, if you compare it to the None But Heroes box, you can see the clear size difference. Through some very, very careful organizing, I managed to get all of the counters for None But Heroes into one counter tray. They are packed in there like sardines, but I did because 2 counter trays does not fit in that box. So clearly, and None But Heroes, it's the Battle of Antietam. It's a fairly large battle. They've got it on 2 maps, which, you know, not really a monster, but there are a lot of counters in the game. I think there was probably 5 or 6 counter sheets in there with the 2-map game, and then, you know, rule books and charts and so forth. So it's a full box for that fairly slimline, you know, normal size box. There's a lot of counters for that. And this one, obviously they didn't make that mistake this time and went with the big monster size box. Alright, box is open. And first thing you see here is this little, well, aside from the little thing that always says, hey, here's what should be in your box. We've got this certificate here from MMP, the Gamers, which says, this certificate identifies that this copy of Last Chance for Victory was purchased by me during the actual commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, July 1st through 3rd, 2013. So they kept track of when people placed their pre-orders, which is pretty cool. You know, nice little touch. Made the promotion of the game, you know, kind of cool, just something fun and memorable. You know, usually you can't time purchases of war games or whatever with things like this, so I thought it was a nice touch. Got your Last Chance for Victory series rules here. Or not series rules, I'm sorry, the game-specific rules, which I think are not too thick. But these are just the rules. There's actually a separate scenario book in here that will cover all the setup. So just the game rules, you're looking at 28 pages. A terrain key. This is actually very, very useful on a separate sheet like this. Well, it leaves room on the maps, for one thing. You know, some people prefer their terrain on the maps, and, you know, I don't know, maybe the terrain is on the maps. I haven't actually folded them out, but this is handy, and even more handy, the elevation key. I had a lot of trouble in None But Heroes of figuring out how many levels of elevation there were. And when you're trying to do the line of sight chart and the elevation chart, trying to figure out the differences between two particular levels of elevation to figure out your line of sight, it was really, really tough in None But Heroes, because there were so many levels and the colors are so close, and there are so many, along with the slope lines. You can see on the terrain here, you've got these slope lines, the dark, kind of thick line there. Well, those made it tough to tell did they run concurrent with the elevation lines, and trying to see if the colors were different between those thicker lines, especially in really narrow and steep inclines, it was hard to tell where the different colors were. So I'm very, very happy that there's this elevation key showing here's what level 1 looks like, level 2, level 3, etc. And here we've got the Dogs of War, little starting scenario. Just a little one sheet, shows you all the units that take part in it, and you can just play them right out here on the map in the Peach Orchard. So nice little you know, full color intro scenario sheet to give people new to the series you know, an idea of how combat and stuff like that works. Got your Union Order of Arrival here. It's in its own book. 12 pages of just Union Order of Arrival. But Order of Arrival, incredibly important at Gettysburg, almost more than a lot of other battles in the game, or in the Civil War. First of the maps. This is map A. I'm not going to unfold them all here just because I don't have room, but very much looks exactly like your line of battle maps that we saw for None But Heroes. Very well done in terms of graphics and elevations and things like that. Just I consider a top-notch quality map. I think right up there with your OCS maps. Just recently the gamers just do fantastic maps. I think we can thank Dino Sig for that. He is a big map guy. So here we've got map B. And I believe this is 4 maps for the main battle, and then there are 2 maps that you can use for different parts of the battle. So there's I think 6 maps total, but you only use 4 if you're playing out the full entire game. Here's our Line of Battle Series 2.0 charts. 1.0 was released in the first game. I actually didn't start playing this series until 2.0 had already came out, so I actually printed these out myself to play None But Heroes with, so I'd be ready when this came out, familiar with the 2.0 rules. So, they're really not shirking on the charts here. That's a 3 fold out set of charts right there. Good terrain effects on the back, so you don't have to open it up for that commonly looked at chart. Turn record tracks. If you've played the Brigade series or whatever, you're used to seeing a similar track to this, usually not in a circle, with the same kind of coloring and stuff on it for the day and night turns. Used to seeing that stuff right on the map. Here, a little too big and complicated. Probably better to be out on its own sheet. So I think it's a good call there, and it's good, nice card stock. So series rules 2.0. These are fantastic rules. DNSig knows how to put together a very tight and readable rulebook, gets rid of any excess, but he does do a nice job in this, especially of, and I don't know if these are in here, the living rules that I had printed out. Yeah, he's got, like in here throughout, you'll see little design notes that he throws in there. And he may have, he's got the design notes, there's examples. I'm not sure in here if he goes into the version. He does some explanation between the different versions of the rules, and I don't know if I'm seeing those in here. No, yeah, there they are. Just labeled version 2.0 design notes, where he'll explain why a change was made between the first edition and the second edition of the game. So it's that kind of stuff that I really love in rules, especially for people, if you're familiar with the first rule set, you might want to know, well, why do you do that? It seemed like it was better the first time. And he'll give an explanation, and those explanations are usually really good. So very, very good rules. I'd put them right up there with the OCS rules in terms of clarity and organization. Just all around very good. Another charts. Here's your Rebel order of arrival. Just like your Union order of arrival, also 12 pages. Scenario book. This is hefty. There are a lot of scenarios in here, a lot of really small scenarios too, which make it a definitely, if you're constrained for space or time, you've got a lot of smaller scenarios you can play, in addition to the one sheet thing that we've got there, the Dogs of War that we just saw earlier. So tons of scenarios in this. That was a big selling point for a lot of people. Just you have a lot of scenarios you can turn to if you don't want to do the big full format monster campaign. So 52 pages of scenarios. Hefty. Counter sheets. These are your sort of generic markers. You can see here, not even numbered, just LOB standard markers. Shaken, Bloodlust, Cowardly Legs. All done in that sort of similar kind of style to the old Brigade series or Regimental sub-series. And then probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these little markers, because you actually use these markers now instead of keeping track of losses off board on the loss charts. Got here, I forget how many counter sheets there are. I think there's maybe 8 or 9 counter sheets in here. Anyway, this is the first counter sheet. Got all your Union troops, Meade, and the Army of the Potomac. So you can see they do use different, to separate the different corps, they use slightly different shades. I think in enough of them eventually, maybe not in this game, but on, I know in None But Heroes, there were so many shades of bluish that they were eventually getting to purplish and pink looking counters towards the end. So another marker sheet here, that's 2, so 2 marker sheets. This is counter sheet, official counter sheet 2 here, some more Union troops. I don't see any pink counters, so that's a good sign. Got some breastworks counters there. You didn't see any, I don't think we had any of those in None But Heroes. They weren't digging in at Antietam at that point, a little too early in the war. There are these maps here. This is map C, so I think this is one of your 4 starting maps, or one of your 4 campaign maps. Buddy Ridge. I'm not even sure where that is on the in my Gettysburg geography. Yeah, 2nd and 3rd day map. So this is one of the maps that you would use off by itself. as opposed to using with the 4 maps if you were doing the full campaign game. So this one focuses more specifically, you can see there right on the fold, the round tops, Wheatfield, Devil's Den, etc., Hawks Ridge, all the Valley of Death, there's Devil's Den, all the famous landmarks from the famous battlefield. So that's one of the specialty maps. Another counter sheet. That one is counter sheet 3, into the Confederate troops now. You've got Lee there, who, well, he's a 4-4. There's a surprise. So you got all the different Confederate, much larger corps, as you can see here. Another marker sheet. That's the 3rd marker sheet, so 3 of those. Map D, there's the 4th map for the main campaign. And again, I don't know how those lay out and what organization. And here's the first day map. Here's the other of the specialty maps. So you've got a first day and a first or second and third day maps. So here, this is where the game would be starting. You've got there's McPherson's Ridge. You've got Hare's Ridge there, where Harry Heath's guys come in along the Cashtown Pike on the first day of the battle. So this would be if you're just doing the first day. Oh, there's another marker sheet, so that would be four marker sheets total. So again, I'm going to be clipping a lot of those number counters. And the last thing in the box, that's counter sheet 4. So yeah, 8 counter sheets looks like. 4 marker counter sheets and 4 actual counters with troops on and stuff. Then you got your day, hour, minute counters. And then, oh look, more number markers. So as you can see here, just stacking all this stuff up, I mean, it is that's a lot of stuff. Look how full that box was, and that was a big box. So this is a huge game. It'll take me a while to punch and clip all those counters, but I do really look forward to getting around to that. I may unfold the maps here, and I don't have my extended table set up. I'm just playing a small game right now, but I've got additional modular tables here that I add for bigger games, and so if I busted those tables out, I'd put the maps, I could lay the maps out, but I may just lay them out on the floor here and take some video of them just so you can see how big they are. Alright, I've laid out the maps on my floor just so you can see, get a sense of how big they are. I also laid out, this is the second and third day map here, which as you can see would be about the right size for one of these modular tables. So I've got 4 of these tables, just set up all 4 and the maps would fit on them. So you can see here all 4 maps. Definitely big. Antietam was only 2 maps, but you've got a lot of space on these maps where you know, along the edges where there probably won't be a whole lot of fighting. Same thing here. It's all going to be concentrated right along that center line there. You've got town of Gettysburg down there. And out there to the east of town, there's Oak Hill to the north, where the Confederates will come down from those northern positions. Cemetery Hill, Culp's Hill. So there'll be lots of fighting that happens there. Further down along Cemetery Ridge, Tawnytown Road, little round top, big round top, Trestles Woods, it's the Peach Orchard, out there where Sickle's third corps will get annihilated. And all that rough terrain there. And the Devil's Den area. So, a lot of map. And then I also laid out the first day map, which, if you can read that, first day, which also has some scenarios on it too. So for people wanting to do just some of the single map stuff, you don't want to lay out these monsters. Got a couple of single maps there you can work with too, which is a nice touch for the game. So there you have it. That is everything inside the box of Last Chance for Victory, the Gamer's Gettysburg Epic.